would you say if I told you that this fire here that's happening right now, that plowed through our beautiful parks of Jasper, Alberta, was avoidable? Or better yet, maybe it could have started and it was preventable to the point where it got to right now. You'd probably be pretty angry, right? I mean, one of our most beautiful national parks just got completely destroyed. The town, half of it or more than half of it has been completely destroyed. And now you're facing risk of Banff National Park, which is a few hours south of that, being destroyed as well. We have lost a massive amount of tourism, a massive amount of money. And in terms of an investment, which is what our national parks are kind of supposed to be, we just lost out on a huge investment. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I want to encourage you all to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It does really help grow the channel. And without further ado, let's get into it. So we're obviously going to be focusing later on in the video about the national park and how logistically this was just an absolute nightmare. But before we get into that stuff, there's a few other things I want to talk about, such as the polls. Pierre Poilievre is sitting at 212 projected seats with a bottom line of 179 and a top end of 234. Justin Trudeau is sitting at 74 projected seats, and I do feel like he will drop down hopefully below the 70 mark into the 60s. Due to, I mean, his incompetence in what has just happened. The man is going out surfing with his kid, albeit his vacation time that he takes every single year, just like clockwork, right around this time of year. But there's a crisis happening in Canada, and he's still on a beach. 99% likely for the Conservatives of winning the most seats, and 99% likely for the Conservatives of winning a majority government. So everything is looking good right there. What's not looking good is how people are pooping on beaches. That's right. There's a lot of controversy around this, but let's take a look at this video here.
Let me start off by saying that over my dead body, would I go to a different fucking country, not read the rules, and take a shit on the public beach? And if I did, I fully intend for them to shame the fuck out of me. Why? Because that's what I get for going to a different country and not reading up the rules and giving people E. coli poisoning. I don't think you guys understand what E. coli does to your body, okay? Be so fucking for real right now. This has, first of all, the Indians that are here, prior to mass immigration, the Indians that have come over here, I never seen them taking a dump on the fucking beach. So I don't think this is about race. I think this is about massively irresponsible immigration just coming to fruition in one of the ways, and that is people getting E. coli infections because they're taking dumps on our beaches.
So the whole premise of this video is that this woman is blaming mass immigration for people that are pooping on beaches, and it's become highly controversial because, yeah, I think that there has been some evidence that has been brought forward that shows that it is Indians who are pooping on beaches in Canada, in Ontario, specifically at Wasaga Beach. Now, is it racist to say that? I don't believe so. I mean, it's factual, but I'd like to pass the question off to you guys. How do you feel about this? Is this turning into a race issue? Is it racist to point out that immigrants are pooping on our beaches? Indian immigrants are pooping on our beaches? What if Canadians went to India in the masses, in the millions, hundreds of thousands, and did the same thing? I think there would be some pretty big outrage, and I don't know if they'd be crying racism, but it seems like some people in Canada are. But I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Is it racist? Is it not racist? Let me know. Now we have Jagmeet, who says Justin Trudeau is a failure and Conservatives hurt people and their pensions because they are corrupt. Let's take a look at what this hungry hypocrite has to say.
Trudeau has been a failure, and Conservatives in Ontario have been a failure. People have seen that. And I put to you that Pierre Poilievre will be no different. He's going to cut the things you need. He's not going to take on the problems, the corporate greed that is hurting you and your families. He's not going to stop them. Those are his buddies. Those are who he worked for. You Democrats have been committed to fighting for people, and we've gotten stuff done. In this past couple of years, we've been able to bring in dental care. We've been able to bring in farming care. We're going to make a difference in people's lives. Those two concrete things that are already improving people's lives, and we're going to keep on fighting for more. We're here to fight. We're here to change the rules. The liberals and conservatives wrote the rules to benefit the rich. Let's write the rules. Let's change those rules to benefit everyday people. Let's take on corporate greed. One of the things that we put forward, a plan we put forward, is let's force the corporate grocery stores to lower the price of essential items. That would immediately lower the cost for you and your family. Lower the cost on essential items that people need, everyday items like bread, like milk, like butter, the essentials that you need. France has done it. Other countries have done it. We can do it here. We put forward this plan, and the Liberals, Justin Trudeau, and the Conservatives, Pierre Poilievre, voted against it because they don't want you and your families to get relief now. That's the difference between us and them. We're willing to take on that corporate greed. When it comes to
so instead of holding the government accountable, which he is to blame through his coalition and holding 41 million people hostage, Canadians, to this insanely corrupt government, he goes after CEOs. And there once was a time where going after CEOs was a thing. Oh, you're a millionaire? Screw you. You have founded private wealth. You are a horrible, horrible person. And that was a real thing 10, 15 years ago. And people just don't care about that now. Congratulations. You have $1 million. That's like the baseline, hypothetically, for like the new middle class. Like, good job, you're succeeding, you're doing awesome, right? Well, people now are going towards the government going, yeah, no, we don't care about those rich guys. We care about you, the ones that are literally manipulating the system to get financial gain from the inside in front of our eyes in broad daylight for years and years and years, compounded on each other. And it's absolutely insane. And people are fed up. I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. You think it's ever going to shift back away from government and go towards people who have private wealth? I don't think so. I personally, I think that we've gone down this rabbit hole now where we're just looking at every single thing the government does. And that's probably going to stick for 15 years, 20 years, potentially, maybe that long, because that's how hot politics is right now. You can't avoid it. You can't avoid it. And also what you can't avoid is the next topic here. So let's take a look at some of these wildfire statistics here. Canadian government firefighting budget. BC has almost burned through the $204 million budgeted for 2023 wildfire season. Less than a month into summer, the BC government has already burned through most of the $204 million budgeted for battling wildfires this year. So our budget for fighting wildfires just here in BC is a fraction of what we have sent to Ukraine, which is pissing a lot of people off. Now, when you Google search, how did the Jasper fire start in 2024, which is exactly what I have done here, you are brought with a bunch of nothing burgers. The town, half the historic town might be destroyed. Wildfire status. Jasper begins to reckon with wildfire destruction. Like and subscribe to Jasper Sunshine's YouTube channel, Mr. Sunshine Baby. It says that there, but let's just skip over it. Yeah, trust me, bro. It was there. Jasper wildfire, rain, cooler weather. So it doesn't actually tell you anything of how the wildfire started, which is very interesting. And look, I'm not going to jump to conclusions and say that this was arson. It is rumored to believe, and I think it's been brought up at one point before the media and everyone has been talking about this and it just got buried, that there was lightning. Lightning has struck near the town of Jasper, and that's what caused it, which is interesting because it seems like lightning is striking places that are populated. And look, I'm not saying that it's fake lightning. I have absolutely no idea. But what I am saying is that half of Canada's wildfires are caused by lightning. The other half are attributed to humans, which can mean everything from a campfire that wasn't put out to power lines brought down by high winds. Arson generally accounts for between 1% and 4% of human-caused fires annually. So where am I going with this? Well, where I'm going with this is forest fires have been a problem for at least 25 years, and around 7,300 forest fires have occurred in the past 25 years. The total area burned varies widely from year to year, but averages about 2.5 million hectares annually. So what does that mean? That means that every single year we here in Canada, the governments, the provincial governments, municipal governments, federal governments know that, okay, January, February, March, what happens afterwards? Well, the snow starts to melt. Okay, these zombie fires, that is apparently a real term, which I thought was absolute nonsense, but a zombie fire is when a fire is still burning underneath the snow and it just doesn't get extinguished over the winter. And so underneath the ground, there's still ambers or ashes or whatever, which is a crazy concept, but that's why it's called a zombie fire, because it's still going underneath the ground. That's a real thing in Canada. And our governments have known this, and they've known this, and they've known this, and they've known this for years. So why haven't we prepared? Why are we just, every time the snow melts and we go, wow, the birds are chirping, I can see the grass again, it's getting really hot. Isn't this right around the time when forest fires, oh, there it is, oh, we've just lost a national park? Why is it that we're always stuck twiddling our thumbs going, I wonder when fire season's gonna happen? And then we see it and it affects everybody and it's just insane, and it's gonna take years and years and years for Canada to actually get over mourning this loss, right? And it just happens every single year. So what the hell is our government doing? Why don't we have the right resources? These are all super valid questions. Well, I did a quick Google search and I just typed in, how many water bombers does Canada have? They are part of Canada's wildfire fighting force, along with firefighters on the ground. The tally of water bombers in Canada's core fleet, not including those currently on loan from other countries or on short-term contracts, is around 106. They are considered dispatch-ready, airworthy, and able to fly. So if that is the number that we've had, and we are still struggling to combat all of these forest fires, why haven't we doubled it? With the amount of money that we have been sending to Ukraine, over $12 billion, we sure as shit could be buying dozens of these. Maybe not hundreds, but dozens. I think someone did the math somewhere, and it was at least 50 of these water bombers could be purchased and ready, and pilots on standby with employment, salaries, whatever, ready to go, so that whenever there is a fire that breaks out of control the way it has within the first less than several hours, within the first 4 or 5 hours, boom, Canada puts it out. That's efficiency. That is a proper investment in ourselves. This government is taxing us to death on the carbon tax, which is something that I've been very critical about on this channel, and everybody in the comments and most of the viewers are absolutely pissed off with this carbon tax. Well, you know what the carbon tax is supposed to do? It's supposed to go towards this right now. What we're seeing, forest fires, things that naturally occur, things that we're supposed to be taxing, we're paying our taxes to help combat. You can't just snap your fingers with money and then all of a sudden forest fires never happen. Forest fires are naturally occurring, and they do happen through arson, but we're not even talking about that in this video. I'm just mentioning it for the sake of mentioning it. Forest fires happen. They've happened. It's been a problem for 25 years, and it's becoming more and more of a problem, not because we're not paying enough taxes, but because we're losing our resources. We need more water bombers. We need more firefighters to do this. It's a very difficult job and no one wants to do it. Just like nobody wants to be police officers, which is part of the reason why crime is skyrocketing, but that's another issue. So let's take a look here. Does Canada hire firefighters from other countries? Given their high level of skills and experience, Type 1 firefighters can be deployed and imported nationally or internationally through mutual aid agreements. Okay, that's awesome. So where are firefighters coming from? Well, last year they came from Korea, if I'm not mistaken, not the North, the South. And now they just announced, Justin Trudeau just announced that he's brought in a bunch of firefighters from Mexico. That's awesome. What other countries have offered help? You're not going to believe it. You wouldn't believe it unless I showed you. So right here, Russia has made a questionably sincere offer to help put out Canada's forest fires. Moscow has offered to send planes to Canada in order to fight the Fort McMurray forest fires. This was dated back to 2016. long before the war between Russia or illegally invaded Ukraine happened, which was in 2019 or 2020 or 2021 or some shit during the whole coof or at the end of the coof or whatever the hell happened. Since 2016, Justin Trudeau has said no to help from Russia because it's a geopolitical rival. So our country has been burning long before the illegal war, whatever the hell they want to say about the Russia and Ukraine conflict. We have not had any help from them because Russia bad. Russia always been bad. Russia super bad. Imagine knowing that your country is burning because the leader is an incompetent idiot. But it wasn't just Russia in 2016 that Justin Trudeau said no to. It was also Mexico, and this is reported right on the CBC. Trudeau turns down Russian, U.S., and Mexican offers to help fight Fort McMurray wildfires in 2016. Russia had offered heavy water bombers and specialized crew. Now, why haven't we had a bunch of help from America, right? They live right there. It's a lot closer and it's a lot more resourceful than Mexico because Justin Trudeau doesn't want their help. Why have we not just allowed Russia to take water bombers, fill up on water, do a passover, drop the water, and land at a heavily militarized base so that there's no tomfoolery, fuel up, and go back home? Because Justin Trudeau doesn't want to do that, because Justin Trudeau doesn't actually care about this country, and he doesn't really care, it seems, about putting out these wildfires. It's about this geopolitical tit for tat. We would rather burn than get help from anybody else who is considered, should be considered an enemy. That is a very sad reality of Canada and the state of our current government. Now, am I suggesting that we should be best friends with Russia? Absolutely not. I have no idea. I'm not a geopolitical expert. But when other countries that are not too far away are offering help when our country is quite literally burning, and I much would rather, and let me know down below in the comments if you also would rather getting help from it being offered. We're not saying, hey, Russia, please help. Send us water bombers, please, for the love of God, have mercy. That's not at all what Canada, any Canadians are saying. Russia is the one that has offered help, and we would rather say no and lose some of our biggest investments in Canada, our national parks and massive infrastructure. You guessed it, all around oil and gas and minerals. Isn't that interesting? Hey, whoa, conspiracy theorist alert. Nope, I'm just looking at the maps. The maps that show where all the wildfires are, he says as he cries on the inside and laughs on the outside. As you can see, Saskatchewan is really not looking very good. And then we take a look here into the Alberta border of BC where Jasper National Park is. And you can see it's getting a little bit closer to Banff every single day with these fires, the ashes from the huge tsunami-esque type of fire that Jasper National Park has been going through right up here, and it's all falling down somewhere else, and that's closer and closer to Banff. So that is not good. We need more than 106 water bombers, Mr. Justin Trudeau. We need over 200 or 300. And so I think it would be awesome if we collectively agreed that we should spend less money on other countries, which no other country spends this amount of money per GDP like we do on other people's problems than Canada. We're so progressive. We are solving other countries' problems that they didn't even know they had, such as pooping on beaches in Ghana. But that's another issue for another day. Let's take a little bit of a recap at Danielle Smith's very emotional speech where she burst into tears at the loss of Jasper National Park and the town site of Jasper.
Our grandparents visited to experience the majesty of this place with its mountains and lakes and meadows. They took our parents, who then took us to this special spot that they'd spent time in as children. And now we take our own kids and our own loved ones and visitors from around the world to feel that same feeling that you get with your first glimpse of the mountains on the horizon. A feeling that even though you've just left home, you're coming home. And so although those of us who experience Jasper as
National
visitors
Park
can't imagine what it feels like to be a Jasperite right now, we share the sense of loss with all of those who live in the town, who care for it, and who have helped build it. Jasper, we will continue to stand by you, and as everyone works to get their feet back under them, and as we look forward to recovery. Right now, the wildfire is still out of control, and crews are working in dangerous conditions to try and protect critical infrastructure in the town. So to the brave men and women currently on the ground in Jasper, I want to express my deep gratitude and the gratitude of all Albertans. Whether you are part of the initial efforts or whether you were activated and drove in there last night or early this morning, there really are not enough words to express our thanks and our wishes for your safety and your success. Once again, you've put yourselves on the front lines in a show of true heroism. Thank you for your bravery and your commitment to keeping Albertans safe.
The firefighters that have been going after this have been putting their life on the line in ways that they are not paid to do. It was, at one point, there was an impasse where it was voluntary, where everyone was told, get out. We don't have the equipment to do this. This is too big. It's too hot. And anyone who goes back in there and tries to do anything is going to have, lung conditions moving forward. And if I'm not mistaken, that's when a lot of firefighters did go back and turned on sprinklers for half the city and actually ended up saving a lot of the town site due to those brave efforts. And it's very, very heroic, and shout out to, that's the least that I could do. If there's like a GoFundMe or something circulating for the firefighters who may have experienced, or even the families that have experienced loss from this, let's try and find that. If the community can look into that, that'd be super helpful and awesome, because this is insane. There's so much damage. There's so many people that are affected by this, and this be a phenomenal time for Canadians to come together and show support in ways that we just know the government isn't going to do. I've got some more footage here pulled up of the just absolute tragedy of the town site.
Parks Canada says that the fire complex is not threatening any other communities around. So if you're around here, like we are, we're in Hinton, which is not too far from Jasper. The fire is not considered a threat at this point. This is a big deal, I should say, for us, because we need to know the size of the fire. Parks Canada says accurately mapping it has been pretty difficult because of strong winds, extreme fire behavior, as we saw when the fire breached town limits, as well as relocating emergency personnel to Hinton, to that town that's away from Jasper, when the fire breached town limits. So there are a lot of complicated factors here. They're still working to get a more accurate depiction of the large fire itself, as well as I mentioned, just the extent of the damage inside the town.
And Sam, you've been speaking to people fighting the fire. What have you heard from them?
Well, we've just heard incredible stories of bravery and resilience, I'll say. Specifically, I spoke with a young man who drives a water tanker. So he essentially was there to help refuel firefighter tanks to fight the fires. And he said on Wednesday, during the day, things were going pretty good. They were able to save some buildings in a park campsite. And then the winds changed, and suddenly he and others found themselves surrounded by wildfire. So he actually took refuge in this cinder block building and watched the fire go by from a window. You need to hear this.
Holy crap. This is getting real. And then the flames started getting closer, and you look out the windows and trees are starting to burn, grass is on fire. You look out the other way and all you see is black smoke. And scary situation. We just waited it out, let the main fire pass by, and made it out the road. There was a few trees down on the road, but we just drove right through them. That's why we got these big trucks.
I personally have never experienced something like that. I do have people that are close to me that have experienced that have had to be evacuated due to fires engulfing their communities or surrounding communities. And I've been in close contact with these people when it was happening, when they had moments to breathe. And it is like straight out of a zombie apocalypse, or a form of, I don't know why I default to zombie apocalypse. It's straight out of a apocalyptic movie or some sort of sci-fi fiction. Like, it's just so insane. You have ashes that are literally falling on yourself, your personal belongings, your home, everything. And to those people that don't have vehicles, that rely on public transport, and that have pets, a lot of the times when you get on buses and you go to these community centers and it's time to evacuate, like actually get out, you can't bring your pets a lot of the times, right? Because then you'd be stuck with a bunch of people with pets on the buses, and that's just can be super tricky. And so there's been actual instances that I've heard of directly firsthand where people have to literally just let their dogs off a leash and hope for the best. And there has been like the SPCA come in afterwards as one of the last sweeps out of town and collect all the animals to the best of their ability. But it's insane. And for those that didn't know that, I'm sorry that I'm the one that has to tell you that that is the reality of some of these situations. But it is just heartbreaking on levels that we can't comprehend unless we actually know someone that has been going through that. The media does an okay job of showing how bad the fires really are, and independent media as well, with all the clips and footage that circulates. But the actual logistics of evacuating is just, it's horrible. You have to quickly pick, your personal belongings. Everything else is likely to be destroyed and does get destroyed in those situations. And then also saying goodbye to your pets is probably one of the most heartbreaking things that a lot of people get to experience, and that would suck on all fronts. But I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you know anyone that was affected by this specific fire in the national park? Are you helping out in some way? Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you have any points of criticism? And what the hell do you think about Justin Trudeau saying no to, in 2016, US, Mexico, and Russia to fighting the forest fires? Let me know what you guys think down below. That's where we're going to end the video. On your way out, I would like to encourage you guys to smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.